April 22nd meeting of the Borough Milltown Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon.
Present.
Councilman Farkas.
Here.
Councilman Kerber.
Present.
Councilman Legati.
Here.
Councilman Mayor. Here. Councilman Revelinsky.
Here.
Council President, the Mayor is absent, so we have 6 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 10, 2019. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Items 4 and 5 we will dispense until the regular meeting. Move on to items for discussion. We have 2 items tonight on discussion. The first one being presentation on the green infrastructure.
Yes, Council President Dixon. I did a simple form of the green infrastructure presentation, and basically I wanted to bring people up to date on some of the things that I've been learning, so I wanted to introduce this. I wanted to go ahead to the next slide. Basically, I used some of the old information just to show people that this is the parts in red are pervious surfacing that we have in town. Of course, that's growing with more development and more houses being built. So they are working on new, the DEP is working on new information. It's a little bit outdated, but that will be updated in coming couple of years or so. And if you go to the next slide, it shows you, there is, of course, the forests. Still, it's a lot of red in our town. And it continues on to show you what portions of wetlands we have, what water, forest, and of course with the trees coming down as well, that doesn't, that's going to reduce that as well. Basically what green infrastructure does is it's a statement of a problem, and it reduces the impervious cover. And it also will help alleviate flooding, sometimes flash flooding, within our town. And this was Irene back in 2011, our power substation. Green infrastructure incorporates, you can go to the next slide, sorry, incorporates infrastructure solutions to existing and future community facilities. If we look at our parks, the roadways, other public property, our easements, or possibly residents' homes and businesses, which now has really been incorporated with the Rutgers Water Resources Association cooperative extension programs. We need to promote the incorporation of green infrastructure planning and implement these strategies throughout new construction, redevelopment projects, rehabilitation of existing sites. The solutions that we do have available, and there's much more expanded. At the bottom, you'll see there's a link that gives you more details. By Swalleys, it's like an under-drain system similar to the rain gardens to take excess water to discharge to the nearest catch basin. And that's basically what that does. You can also do downspout planters. Some people do the rain barrels instead of the planters so that the water goes in, keeps the water, flowers fresh with water and growing. Stormwater planters also capture water. The stormwater planters can also do this at the street levels, and it's like a natural kind of catch basin. I don't have any of the pictures because I didn't get the PowerPoint presentation, so I apologize for not having any pictures to show you. Also, we've heard about porous asphalt from the Environmental Commission, and I did meet today with East Brunswick Square Mall. The general manager is looking to do that in next year, in the future, and he's budgeting that this year for next year's mall project for the pavement. Green infrastructure is also impacts heavier storms lately. We also have dry periods. So what you want to do with is contribute, and it contributes to water pollution, of course, and flooding. So in general, we are making the stormwater management, the art and science of managing and routing that heavy rainfall more challenging with additional development. As you know, we have development in East Brunswick, North Brunswick, and South Brunswick, and New Brunswick as well. So more and more, you'll see that orders coming our way. And we need to focus on retrofitting, and that's basically what green infrastructure is all about, is retrofitting our existing development with stormwater management practices. Next slide. Okay. What is a rain garden? It's a bioretention system. It's landscaped. It's also a shallow depression. This captures, this filters and infiltrates the stormwater runoff at a slower pace at the source. They remove non-point source pollutants from stormwater runoff while recharging the groundwater. And it also serves as a functional system for stormwater management while being aesthetically pleasing. We want to encourage people the use of this native and drought-tolerant species because of the extremes of, rainfalls and then a drought. For landscaping, to conserve the water, reduce pollution, and attract birds and pollinators. Prohibit the use of invasive species which can rapidly colonize open areas, causing harm to ecosystems, and eliminating the natural benefits of native species. This will enhance areas. It will also reduce impervious cover and increase vegetation with rain gardens. Many residential programs are in place now in towns of Woodbridge. They actually give Rutgers about $60,000 to do water solutions such as rain gardens or Bies Valleys and the other ones that I've mentioned. In Hamilton, they do the same. I'm not sure what the dollar amount is, but also you have Jersey City, Hoboken, Camden. They've really been pushing forward in the last 10 years and some in the last 5 years to really push forward for solutions. Okay. The Water Resources Cooperative Extension is also mentioned on New Jersey Future. They even have a toolkit for municipalities as well as developers. I have that link there. And if you go to that site, you'll be able to find all the links. In addition, ANJAC, Sustainable Jersey, the American Planning Association, New Jersey Urban Forestry, they all partner and spread the word about green infrastructure. The NJDEP has a big section on green infrastructure as well on their site. Some of these are also sponsors, and Rutgers is their main link for all of these nonprofits and communication and developing more of the stormwater MS4 permit as well. Next. Oops. This is just a picture of what we did in the past with Parkview School, and it solved a lot of their issues in the back of the school, where it was always very heavily rains and it wouldn't go anywhere or filtrate anywhere. So that's pretty much been solved in the back of the school and in the front of the school. They also have another rain garden as well. So just to reiterate, rain gardens is a landscape shallow depression. It's designed to intercept, treat, infiltrate stormwater at the source before it becomes runoff. It also helps with the pollutants. The plants used in this rain garden are native to the region and help retain pollutants. And then the next slide gives you more information and gives you a little bit, deeper set. Next slide. And this was courtesy of Maplewood, Minnesota. Milltown Park Rain Garden Design. Rutgers University is also working on this. They designed a 360 square foot, which an Eagle Scout is going to do. They're going to expand it to 500 square foot, and this will be installed at Milltown Park to the left as you go into the parking lot, and it will help provide a solution for there, because a lot of water retains there. Luckily, we have proper drainage there, so we can properly filtrate that. So the project will be designed and funded by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. Also, the installation and the additional portion will be financed through the 319H grant from Rutgers, which they applied for. And in terms of the other municipalities not contacting them, I pressed them for that to get done, so I'm happy that we'll be fortunate to have another rain garden. And of course, this was the front of Parkview Elementary. This is the other rain garden that we did. My training has been able to provide me and others that are sharing this training to be considered for more demonstration projects first, as opposed to other towns that have not signed up for this training. Rutgers will assist with writing grants for the green infrastructure on a larger scale. In addition, they will educate, will view the sites to plan and design, and assist with the implementation of the green infrastructure in Milltown as well as throughout the county. GI Champions still partner, and they will help us throughout the entire process, like they've been doing. So far, they've installed 350 projects from South Jersey to North Jersey. And just wanted to reiterate the program funding is from National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and also the 319H grant. And that concludes my presentation.
Is that it, Council?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Next, we move on to miscellaneous engineering items.
Thank you, Council President Dixon. We have a few items to discuss with you tonight. Firstly, a pre-construction meeting was held for Wilson Avenue Phase 2. It was attended by representatives of the borough, including Ralph Jazanowski, John Eckert, and Chief Kennelly, as well as representatives from CME, the contractor, and the drilling subcontractor. Construction on Janet Court will begin during the week of April 29th, and they'll be starting with the storm sewer installation. Notices to residents will be going out this week. Next, we have the Public Works complex. Water testing is ongoing. They're also working on the installation of electrical conduit and structures, and building construction is ongoing. Next, as you know, the borough's 750,000-gallon elevated water storage tank is undergoing a recoating and rehabilitation project. The interior and exterior of the tank has been sandblasted, primed, and intermediate coating has been installed. They're now working on the exterior top coat. Also, during the process of removing insulation, we discovered a deteriorated expansion joint on a vertical riser, which needs to be replaced. It seems like it's been leaking for a long time. Also, there's an identical fitting in close proximity to it that shows no sign of deterioration at this point, but we recommend replacing this one as well at this time. Both replacements need to be done while the tank is empty, so it makes sense to do it now. The cost for these replacements are within the allowance for contingencies for the project, and we're working that out with the borough administrator. Next, we're meeting with the Department of Environmental Protection tomorrow morning to discuss water services within the borough. So we'll have an update for that next meeting for you. We met with the Public Works Committee and the Public Works Director last Monday to discuss the DOT municipal aid grant for the Tracy Drive area improvements. So discussions for that are in motion as well. Finally, we prepared the asset management plan for your water system. The due date for that, per the Water Quality Accountability Act, was April 19th, and we sent that electronically to Randy Barr and John Eckert on the 17th, so you were in compliance with the due date for that. So unless Mike has anything to add, that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to audience comments. Any comments from the audience? If any member of the public wishes to speak on the items listed on the agenda meeting, please step forward and say your name and address for the record. These comments are limited to the items discussed at this agenda meeting. Seeing none, move on, and we will ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. We'll take a 5-minute break,
Okay.
and we will begin our regular meeting. 22nd meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sorry. Council President Dixon?
Here?
Councilman Farkas?
Here.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Present.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilman Mayor?
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Here.
Council President, we have 6 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, forwarding of a copy of the same to the official borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 10, 2019. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Will now please stand, have a moment of silence, and salute to the flag. Next on the agenda, we have a proclamation. And, bear with me, I will read it. Whereas the U.S. Surgeon General's report on mental health has concluded that mental health is an essential component of overall health and well-being. Whereas for more than 50 years, Mental Health America has proclaimed May as Mental Health Awareness Month to raise awareness about mental health, combat the social stigma and the discrimination associated with mental illness that often prevents people from seeking help, promote a message of hope and recovery, and celebrate consumer strength and resilience. Whereas people with mental illness and addiction recover if given the necessary supports and services of the community, yet many avoid seeking help due to the stigma and the fear of discrimination. Whereas Milltown Borough recognizes the stigma associated with mental illness and addiction and acknowledges that many people may remain unserved because of the stigma of seeking help. This month, we call attention to this so we can bring mental illness and addiction out of the shadows and encourage treatment and support. We acknowledge that greater public awareness about mental health and addiction recovery can change negative attitudes and behaviors. Whereas Milltown Borough stands with those impacted by behavioral health challenges and pledges to increase awareness and greater understanding of these conditions. We will work to reduce stigma and discrimination and increase appropriate accessible supports and services. We will strive to promote a message of hope and the belief that healing and recovery are attainable. Now, therefore, I, Council President Ronald D. Dixon, on behalf of Eric A. Sieber, Mayor of the Borough of Milltown, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as Mental Health Awareness Month and call upon all citizens to participate in efforts to increase awareness and better understanding of mental illness and addiction and work towards culminating stigma in Middlesex County. In witness thereof, I have now set hand and seal of the Borough of Milltown to be affixed this 22nd day of April 2019. And that is that proclamation. Next, we have various minutes on the agenda that have to be approved. We will do them one set at a time. What is the council's pleasure for the minutes of March 12, 2018?
Move that the minutes be approved as typed.
Second.
Roll call.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. What is the council's pleasure for the minutes of March 12, 2018?
March 26th.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I copy and pasted, I'm sorry. I did, I'm
What's the
sorry.
date?
March 26th.
March 26, okay. What is the council's pleasure for the minutes of March 26th?
I move that the minutes be approved as typed.
And I second.
All in favor? Well, a roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
What's the council pleasure for the minutes of April 9th, 2018?
I move that the minutes be approved as typed.
Thanks.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. What is the council's pleasure for the minutes of April 23rd, 2018?
I move that these minutes be adopted.
I
Second.
We got that. Roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
And lastly, what is the council's pleasure for the minutes of May 14th, 2018?
I move that the minutes be approved as typed.
I second.
Thank you.
I believe there's one more.
No, that was the, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Moving on. We have comments from the audience on resolutions. Next on the agenda is the comments from the audience. If any member of the public wishes to speak on the resolutions, please step forward and say your name and address for the record. These comments are limited to resolutions listed on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on. We'll now go on to bills and claims. Will the clerk please read the bill resolution 19-119?
Authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $1,580,023.04.
If you heard the reading of this resolution, what is your pleasure?
Make a motion this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we have reports of standing committees and introduction of resolutions. Consent resolution has been prepared to cover the resolutions listed on the agenda. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number and it will be pulled from the consent agenda.
Yes, could I have 19-127 and 19-128, please?
19-127, 19-128.
Can I have 19-121?
Any others? Will the clerk please read the consent resolutions which cover the resolutions listed on the agenda with the exception of 19-121, 19-127, and 19-128?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting, and whereas the Borough Clerk has posted a consent agenda for this meeting, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the consent agenda previously prepared by the Borough Clerk be approved without the necessity of having the individual resolutions read by the Borough Clerk.
After you've heard this resolution, what is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read Resolution 19-121 by title?
Authorizing the Borough of Milltown to award a contract to All Around Concessions LLC to operate the pool snack shack.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Council President Dixon. I pulled this one for the mere reason that we tabled it at our last meeting. There was discussion on the floor, just to clarify for the residents of Milltown, if there was any action that could be taken, and it's my understanding that there is absolutely nothing we can do. Either we have to approve it or decline it. I would like to know if there is something that we could put in place that we do have a minimum after this contract is fulfilled. Is that something we can do in the future?
It's already notated in future bid specs for templates.
So it's already done for next time. Okay, that was it for me.
So the bid specs would have a minimum
Yes,
going forward after, and this is 2 years, right?
it's a 2-year contract.
Did we decide what the minimum's gonna be?
We did not, I put in a fill in the blank
Okay.
in the specs.
I'm good.
Is there any further discussion? If not, will clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
No.
Councilwoman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 5 ayes and 1 no.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read Resolution 19-127 by title?
Resolution increasing deferred school taxes.
What is your pleasure of the council?
I move that this resolution be adopted.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Council President. The title of this is Resolution Increasing Deferred School Taxes. Did we defer the taxes already once?
There is a balance on the deferral of, well, the 180 will bring it up to 376. So there was a balance of approximately 190 prior to this.
Right.
So this is just increasing that deferral.
Okay. So I guess my question is why, we haven't even seen a budget yet. The budget hasn't been introduced. Why are we deferring taxes when we haven't even seen the budget? We don't even know, is there an increase? Is there a big increase, a little increase? What?
This has nothing to do with our budget. This is the school taxes. Okay, so you have to think of it as 2 separate issues. The deferred school tax is being increased due to financial results of 2018, and we're increasing the deferral. That's on the school board side. We are working on our budget. What I want to do is bring the new administrator up to speed with the budget, and have her sit down with myself and the auditor, and then, because it is going to be her budget, it's not going to be my budget, and then we'll continue with the finance committee and get a budget introduced probably second week of May. That's what, second week of May, I think. And this is all part of getting in place so that we won't have any delays in moving forward with getting the budget approved.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
So if this doesn't move forward, what are the consequences?
Could just delay the operation, delay the adoption of our budget.
Why is that?
Because it's gonna be this is gonna be part of our budget package to the state to see that we did this. And the state will not approve, what we think the budget is gonna look like without this resolution.
So the people understand it's moving what we owe just back. So it's still part of our
Yeah,
budget.
school board's gonna still get what they get in taxes.
Right,
It's just a matter of 1 month to the next month,
Correct.
basically.
right.
Is there any other discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
No.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 5 ayes and 1 no.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read Resolution 19-128 by title?
A resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown appointing members to the Office of Emergency Management. Sorry.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes, yes, Council President. I know this has come up a few times, so I'd like to put this to bed. The Emergency Management Coordinator does not live in the Borough of Milltown. Everything that I see states that the Emergency Management Coordinator must live in the borough. So how can you be appointing him if he doesn't live in the borough?
I had been asked by the clerk to look into this quite a while ago, in fact, and I did so. There's actually not a state statute that requires it, but instead there's an appendix that actually is an appendix from 1956, I believe, that replaced a residency requirement. So what's happened since then, and I'll get specifically to Milltown in a moment, but what's happened since then is, in fact, I think after 9/11, state police took over the administration of the Office of Emergency Management from the state level and then overseeing the municipalities. So we looked into this with the state director, the state police, and they've indicated that they're getting away from a residency requirement in essence because nowadays, since 9/11, they have to expend for initial training $10,000 or so in each coordinator. So they had indicated that they would like the borough to keep its present OEM coordinator, so they don't have to spend another $10,000. In fact, they've indicated that there was legislation that was proposed modifying the old appendix in a lot of ways, but one of the ways was the residency requirement, and that was going to be done away with. It didn't get through the House for other reasons. With regard to the state statutes, there are two statutes which allow a municipality to do away with a residency requirement. One under the Borough Form of Government, 40A 60-6, and then the other in general ordinances 40A 9-1.7. And looking into that, typically what you would have to do though is you would have to have an ordinance to waive the residency requirement, and not just for OEM, but for any number of positions that are created by the council. And here you do have an ordinance that I couldn't locate, an old ordinance 925-6, which is referenced within your borough code that does waive the residency requirement. Again, I haven't seen the specifics, but it does exist. Otherwise, so you have to presume that it waived the residency requirement as to all the positions. Otherwise, you have a number of positions that are created that you would have to, you'd be in violation of the state statute as well. For instance, borough planner, CFO, municipal public defender, to name just a few positions where, unless you've waived it by ordinance, and as I say, you do have an ordinance, I haven't seen the specifics, but it's referenced as waiving residency requirement, you would, those positions would all maintain the residency requirement as well. So for those reasons, it appears that you've already done that. Again, I haven't seen the specific ordinance. If you wanted to go back and create another ordinance so that you have it on the current books, but it is referenced in your code book.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, there is. I have directive number 102 from the Office of Emergency Management by the Division of the State Police. And directive number 102, number 3B, says must be a resident of the municipality.
Right.
So my thing is, I think that if we're going to do this, that we should have something in writing from someone, whether it's from the State Office of Emergency Management or from the State Police, saying that we're allowed to do that.
I have that guideline as well, Councilman. That's from 1990. And as I've indicated, there are state statutes which expressly allow a borough to do away with the residency requirement. And as I say, you have an ordinance, although I haven't seen the particulars of it, that did away with the residency requirements, and it is cited in your code book. Now, again, if you wanted to prepare a new ordinance, if we cannot locate this ordinance 925, section 6, by all means, you could go ahead and do that. That's up to the council's prerogative. But as it is, state statute allows you to waive that residency requirement.
correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, when this came up several months ago, didn't the state police provide in writing something stating that the person who is our OEM coordinator was permitted to stay on? I believe I saw an email from you or that the mayor had.
In December of last year, the mayor requested a meeting with the county OEM coordinator. He also requested that I accompany him to that meeting, which I did, so I was present. At that meeting was myself, the mayor, head of county OEM, and the state trooper who was head of our county's OEM, overseeing all of the OEM. Discussed the situation with them. The state police officer, who I believe was a lieutenant, stated at the time that the OEM position coordinator is a mayoral appointment, that the mayor can appoint who he wishes. That would have to be in letter form to the state police colonel. The colonel will act upon that, which I believe he did, and wrote a letter returning it to the borough, stating that the mayor's decision was the individual that fills that position now, and that the only person, in their opinion, that's the state police, that can remove him from that position is the governor himself. And that's what we were informed at that meeting.
So do we have a copy of that letter?
I do have it. The clerk gave it to me. It's from, I'll read it into the record and then provide it. It's from Louis Boucher, Major, Commanding Officer, Emergency Management Section, New Jersey State Police. And it says, Dear Coordinator Marcinzik, we have reviewed your appointment of Emergency Management Coordinator as of December 18, 2018. We have changed our records to reflect Michael Marcinzik as coordinator for a 3-year term expiring on December 18, 2021. For any additional changes, you may contact Lieutenant Small, and it gives a phone number. And it's CC to the coordinator, Thomas Bukowski, Middlesex County Coordinator, Lieutenant Small, Central Region Unit Head. So we can make that part of the record. But again, I do recognize, Mr. Farkas, you are correct. There is an appendix requirement that sets forth residency. But as I've indicated, there are a number of statutes that have residency requirements, but there are statutes which allow the borough to exempt that residency requirement, and it appears as though you've done that previously. As I say, I don't have a copy of that Borough Ordinance 925, but it is referenced in your borough ordinances as waiving a residency requirement. And as indicated, you have a number of positions as well where otherwise you would be in violation of residency requirements.
I have a question slash statement. With this resolution, every appointed person here is for a 1-year term with the exception of the OEM coordinator. Based on by what Council President Dixon said, the governor is the only person that can remove the OEM coordinator. And that is a 3-year term rather than a 1-year term like everyone else's. I would be inclined to vote no on this resolution for that reason and that reason alone, that it should be a yearly appointment. If it was a yearly appointment, I would have no problem voting yes. Based that it's a 3-year appointment, I have difficulty in voting yes for that.
The appendix does make the OEM position a 3-year term based on the same appendix.
I disagree with
What
that.
You're saying
appendix was
state
that?
statute, Mr. Bruder?
It's the appendix that I've referenced. It's Appendix A-9-40.1, and it talks about the mayor appointing an emergency management coordinator and also must serve a term of 3 years. And it goes on to say the EMC must complete approved courses within 1 year of appointment, and it designates the courses. Those are the courses that the state police indicate now cost $10,000, and that Mr. Marcinzik received those courses.
Yeah, it's always been a 1-year appointment, and now it's a 3-year appointment. This is the first time I've seen it like that.
In fact, I see on the resolution that I have in front of me, it lists it as it says term 1 year, but it gives an expiration date of 2021, so I think that would need to be clarified as well.
Oh, that was a typo, sorry.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with 1 year, with 3 years.
So which is the typo?
1 year is the typo, like per his statement, it is a 3-year term.
And that's according to the statute?
That's the appendix. Again,
Appendix.
this is not in the statute, this is the appendix to the state statutes.
So to appease the council person sitting up here, what could we do? Do we have to abide by that appendage, or do we abide by what we set forth here?
I think the appendix would govern because there's not a waiver of a 3-year term, as there is a specific statute waiving a residency requirement.
So what have we been doing in the past?
The wrong thing, unfortunately.
And the ordinance is an older ordinance? that-
It is.
So I'm wondering why we had to go and get the letter if we already had an ordinance in place.
I don't know. I didn't get a letter. This was provided. I think the clerk gave me a copy, but I guess it arose out of the meeting that was had. But in any event, the ordinance is what it is. I mean, it's on the
So
book.
would we be able to take a look at that just for the other positions as well?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting, is if we can try to go back and obtain that, because there are a number of positions out there that,
We might not
And
be
then
in compliance with?
the way your code book
Right.
goes about it, it jumps around. In certain positions, it specifically spells things out, and in other positions, it's silent.
Right.
So I would suggest, in general, that the code book be addressed to have particular clarity on this subject for each position.
But this one, the appendix makes it fairly clear that that's the term and the,
Yes, that's correct.
Well, if you're not gonna make me happy, then I've gotta,
I'm sorry, it's based on, I'm just going.
Blame the
providing
state
legal-
police.
I think it's too important of a position that everything else is a 1 year and that's a 3 year. I think it's an important position that this council needs to appoint each year. It's just my opinion, but if we're governed by something else that's a higher
that's-
entity, then
could you read the statute or the appendix on that, Mr. Bruder?
Yeah, I have it right here, and the only other thing that's created, under the appendix in terms of positions, it has a deputy coordinator, and it's silent on the subject of a term. It just says each municipality coordinator must appoint a deputy with the approval of a mayor. And, so there is no all of these other positions that are listed here are not positions within the OEM appendix that are created. The only one that's created and has a term would be the director, the municipal emergency management coordinator.
And it says what does it say in the language of the appendix about that?
Yeah, it must serve a term of 3 years, and I'm quoting directly from it. And it also, as I mentioned, also must.
If I may just, I've been on Milltown, OEM, for numerous years, based primarily on law enforcement experience. When I was on council and not on council, I was part of the OEM. I've also been appointed by the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders to the county's OEM. And that, by their resolution, by freeholders, is a permanent position, which says you are on the OEM until pass away, I guess.
Like the
Or
Supreme
until I
Court?
say, no, I don't want to be on it, one of the two. But that's what they do.
There is another, within the same appendix, it talks about local defense councils. Every municipality shall have a local defense council, not more than 15 members, which are appointed by the mayor. The emergency management coordinator is the LEPC chairman and should be comprised of people who are directly responsible for or can assist in providing resources during an emergency. So perhaps those other positions that are set forth in your resolution would be the people that comprise the local defense council, so to speak, of the OEM. But again, the only one that sets forth specific term is the emergency management coordinator.
It kind of makes sense too. I mean, if you have drills and procedures and policies in place to address any sort of a situation that occurs, whether it's something at the schools or an emergency in town, you don't want someone who just learned what our procedure is the day before. You'd prefer to have someone who's been there and knowledgeable with it and has had at least 3 years under his belt of making sure that those policies are written in accordance with what we need in the town.
Did we have Did we have 3-year terms before this? So are we re-upping on a 3-year?
Yes, I believe we did.
Not for OEM, it's a yearly.
No, the coordinator has always been free.
So he was,
I believe the last letter, which I don't know if Mr. Pruder has that, but I have seen that, the last letter appointing the individual to the OEM coordinator's position was for a 3-year term also.
It was in 2015, the OEM coordinator was appointed. Normally, they're confirmed. The OEM resolution that we pass annually is for the volunteers, which for the borough ordinance is 1-year terms.
Gotcha. I was under the different
so it
impression.
just, the last time, we just didn't look into whether we had an ordinance or not to cover
Right.
this.
Betcha it said 1 year and the date was 3 years.
Shame.
So then I take back my statement that you were doing it wrong previously.
So, yeah, if we could take a look at that ordinance or send it along so that we could see that, that would be helpful too. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Not, clerk will call the roll.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
No.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 5 ayes and 1 no.
Thank you. Moving on. Council reports. Department of Finance, Administration, and Planning, which is headed by me. I am going to refer to Mr.
I
Barr.
think I really just discussed that with the
I believe you
resolution.
did, but I just, that's
so,
what we've been discussing.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring Jeanette up to speed, with the budget, and everything, and, hopefully, with, probably not this week, but maybe next week, we'll, have a finance meeting and start aggressively moving towards the budget.
And I also believe that some of the people involved were on Easter vacation.
Yeah, the
Hard to
auditor
get-
right now is
yeah.
away on vacation, he'll be back, I guess this Friday or Saturday, so, and, we'll have him in the, meetings going forward.
So when are we looking to present it to the council? On the 13th or the 20th meeting?
That's our next meeting, the 13th.
Right.
13th and 20th.
Which is the youth and government meeting.
I would probably stay away from the youth and present on the 20th.
Okay.
I think that'd probably be a wise idea.
Did we receive, just out of curiosity, did we receive anything in writing from New Brunswick in regards to settle-up charges from 2017?
Actually,
We're all squared up on that?
that? We did. Yes, and I received 2 different things, and they're in contradiction of each other.
Excellent.
And they did not address the 2017, which is what our whole meeting was about. So they addressed 2018 and gave us indications of 19, and then I got the first quarter bill for 19, which was completely different from what the engineer of New Brunswick sent us. So I have a call in, left a message for the assistant administrator, telling him we need to have another meeting, because I think that they misunderstood. When we said 17, we actually meant 2017 and not 18, but we'll clarify that and try to get some kind of answers.
Is there anything we can do in regards to saying, look, you've had 12 months, 16 months, 18 months, you haven't presented us with a bill, it's a matter of timely billing, and now you're out of luck?
Well, quite honestly, my greatest concern is that they owe us money from 17.
Good.
And I don't
That
want
could be
them,
the delay.
I don't want them ignoring that fact. So we do want to go over 17 with them, and review all the numbers. But unfortunately, it seems as though the engineering department's on one page and the building department's on a different page.
So, but you have all the numbers from 18?
We do, but the billing
No,
that
I
came
know.
forward doesn't match what the engineer's office gave us. So,
So hopefully by the time we present the budget, we're gonna, because I've been asking about this for the utility committee
Absolutely.
since February, right?
Absolutely.
So that we won't know what's
And-
gonna happen with our rates until we firm
Correct.
up these
and I think our
numbers.
first meeting with New Brunswick was in December.
Right.
Randy, just to be clear, when it comes to New Brunswick, we've got the budget line items for water and sewer. We've got ordinance in place that says that money can't essentially be taken out and filling other locations in the borough, other spots where we're coming up short. So
Correct.
are we able to proceed with the budget despite New Brunswick, as long as we're focusing on the other departments and not the water sewer? Or does it drastically impact us that much? Because I would think water sewer are in and of itself, you know.
It obviously is an impact. However, we do have historic numbers and we do have projected numbers. And I believe somewhere the 2019 projected numbers will fall in between what the engineer gave us and what the billing clerk or billing supervisor sent us this past week.
Right, but
I think we'll be able to move forward with logical numbers, because obviously the water sewer utility as well as electric utility is part of the municipal budget. So we'll have to have some numbers in order to adopt the budget and introduce the budget.
But we have our electric, right?
Correct.
And we have the other departments.
Yeah, we have all the departmental requests and so forth, and now the finance committee, that's now all organized, and now, once I bring Jeanette up to speed and we go over some things, we'll have meetings with the finance committee and go through and see what we need to cut, if we need to cut areas, if the, finance committee has some requests to further information and so forth, and that's what we'll do in the course of beginning next week and the following week to get on course for an introduction on the 20th.
Thank you. Moving on, next report is on Department of Public Safety, chaired by Councilman Nicholas Legatti.
Thank you, Council President. Milltown Fire Department, monthly report, April 2019. Total number of fire calls, 9. Total number of training details, 2. Total number of work details, 3. Total number of meeting details, 1. Total number of miscellaneous details, 2. Total incidents, 17. The annual scholarship info has been sent to schools. Check Channel 15 or milltownfire.org for more information and how to apply. One application for membership is pending, which I believe we approved this evening. Continued cross-training and drilling with the rescue squad. All apparatus have been PM service done, now scheduling repairs. Chief Daniel Null, Milltown Fire Department. And that's the only thing I have today, Council President.
Thank you. Moving on, next is the Department of Utilities, which is chaired by Councilwoman Trina Mayer.
Thank you, Council President. The Utility Committee met on Saturday, and we just have a few quick points from that meeting. For the Water Accountability Act, which the CME has presented to us last week in a timely manner, we have 2 12-inch valves that need to be open and closed by the end of this week. The spring hydrant flushing will proceed in the next few weeks. They are going to do the ones that they always do and keeping the same process. And then, once the water tower tank is full, they will do all of the rest of the hydrants. The water tower tank project is proceeding right on schedule. The May 24th is the target completion date. That will be, the inside will be remediated, the leak that was there was addressed, and it will be repainted outside with, the only thing you'll notice that's different is it will be green instead of blue. So it'll have Milltown green colors. Also lead and copper samplings are going out either today or tomorrow. And there was a report of brown water. Several residents contacted the utility department last week. That was as a result of a water main break in New Brunswick. So there was information posted on the website. However, you will get notice when it gets a little closer to the hydrant flushing of when to expect it. That'll be on the website. And we'll also send out a Nixle alert so you can prepare for that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have the Department of Public Works and Recycling, chaired by Councilwoman Dorian Gerber.
Thank you, Council President. We just want to remind everybody, this Thursday is recycling. On order is enforcement. Every town is going to be enforcing, so it'll be like half a page, maybe a little bigger than this. It's not going to be a little sticker like in the past. It's going to be a big thing, and in the back of it's going to be marked if you use plastic bags. In addition, only you recycle number 1, only recycle number 2. The rest is trash. They're trying to enforce this now to prep us for future expenses, and that's what's going to be happening. Like I had mentioned last meeting, this year, the contract was renewed. Nothing has increased, but we'll see that in the future, 2020. Changes will be occurring. So they're trying to get this down now, that you don't use plastic bags at all in your recyclables. In addition, we did meet with the DOT grant regarding the grant. It's concentrating on Tracy Drive. We don't have all the paperwork in yet. We'll be working on that. Once it is in place, then we'll have a time schedule. At this point, there is no schedule, but it will be inclusive of tree removals, the curb, sidewalks, and the milling and paving of Tracy Drive. So that will be future plans and the process we have to go through as the ordinances, the financing, and et cetera, plus the grant paperwork that needs to come through. So until that's done, we won't be, sending out notification until we have more of that in place and a better schedule. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next will be Department of Environmental Health and Social Services, chaired by Councilman Randy Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Quick report tonight. Milltown would like to congratulate its newest Master Gardener, Paulette Caputo. Ms. Caputo became a Master Gardener on February 21st. And for all of you spring gardeners, trained Master Gardeners are available to answer questions 9 a.m. to 12 noon on weekdays. You can email questions or concerns to mastergardeners@co, the abbreviation for county, .middlesex.nj.us. So I think that's a nice way to have some questions answered, and there are trained Master Gardeners available to take your questions, so please take advantage of that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Farkas. Lastly, it's Department of Recreation, chaired by Councilman Richard Little.
Thank you, Ron. I'm not sure to call you Mr. Mayor or Council President tonight, but I'll call you later. In any event, we do have before us this evening introduction of an ordinance that's going to be coming up next, setting the rate schedule for pool, SAC, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say SAC, and some of our recreation programs. So that is in the works. I'd also like to thank the council who attended, and especially Councilman Farkas for his most generous donation, which I will take 50% of the credit for pulling your ticket over at the Milltown Little League this past weekend. It was a really great day. A lot of people were there, and Councilman Farkas was kind enough to donate his winnings for the 50-50 back to the Little League. We also had a wonderful Easter egg hunt last weekend over at Albert Avenue Park. The Lions Club did a great job putting that on, so thank you to them for their help. Programs are off and doing well. We had some cancellations this past weekend due to rain for soccer, but other than that, we are moving forward. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read ordinance 19-1473 by title only?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 14 Parks and Recreation, Section 6 Borough Pool, subsection 6.3 fees, and Section 7 Recreation Programs, subsection 7.2 fees of revised general ordinances of the Borough of Milltown, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey.
It's council's pleasure.
Move that this resolution be adopted on second and final reading. No?
First.
No.
Oh, first.
And it's an ordinance, not a resolution.
My apologies.
Ordinance.
First reading and adopted and published according to law. Right?
Second.
There we go.
And the public hearing be held on May 13th.
I apologize. On May 13th, 2019 at 7 PM here in council chambers.
I second.
Now we're done with that. How about roll call?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Next, will the clerk please read ordinance 19-1474 by title only?
An ordinance fixing the salary and wages for various employees of the Borough of Milltown and providing for the manner of payment thereof.
What is your pleasure? What's council's pleasure?
Move that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that the public hearing be held on the next regularly scheduled council meeting on Monday, May 13th at 7 PM in council chambers in Borough Hall.
Second. Well done.
You're welcome.
Have a roll call, please.
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Council President, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we move on to old business. Does any member of the council have any old business to bring before the council?
Yes, Council President Dixon. I just wanted to remind everybody that on April 13th, we also had the New Jersey Clean Communities event, and we had 31 volunteers, so families, individuals, groups came out, the Girl Scouts, some of the Cub Scouts, so it was a great event and cleanup. I didn't get the total, so I can't provide it to you, but thank you so much. We really appreciate cleaning up our town and cleaning up in the waterways. Thank you.
Is there any other old business?
Just piggybacking off of Dorianne, I think that the Maycor Barbershop is having their cleanup on the 5th of May, so if you want to come out.
That was new business, okay.
Okay. Sorry. So if you want to come out on the 5th of May to help clean up Milltown, Maycor Barbershop is sponsoring, and I think Ralph is giving out gloves and stuff that we can use to do the cleanup as well.
Nice. I have one more. I have 2 things for reports. First of all, we had a strategic planning meeting last week. The topic was the downtown revitalization. So it was fairly sparsely attended, but still we went through the list and we prioritized what could be a quick fix, what could be a short-term, medium-term, and long-term goal. I haven't typed those up yet, but as soon as I do this week, I will post that on the strategic planning page on the website. We are going to meet next month about quality of life. We decided to push infrastructure to the end, so it'll be quality of life next. I'll post that on the website when we're going to have the meeting. Then it will be sustainability, and the last one will be infrastructure over the next 3 months. Speaking of downtown revitalization, the night prior, the newly revitalized Revitalization Committee met, and so we talked about Milltown Day, but more importantly, some issues that will play in with the strategic plan on the downtown cleanup, how to make the downtown more of a thriving downtown. And then I'll talk about the Alliance in a second, under council comment. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other old business? If not, we'll move on to new business. Does any member of the council have any new business to bring before council?
Yes, Ron.
Yeah.
New item, in light of the mayoral proclamation this evening regarding mental health and addiction, I'd like to see the borough propose that all employees whether they're seasonal, part-time, or full-time employees, go for drug testing. And this isn't in a means to persecute anyone, but if there's someone suffering with any sort of addiction and we can help them and still keep things nice and quiet for them and not embarrass them, I'd rather us find out about it and offer the services that they need than for them to feel ashamed or embarrassed about coming forward with that. So I'd like to see if we can propose something. I don't know if this has to be an ordinance or more personnel policies, but in the coming weeks, I'd really like to address this, something that's been on my mind for some time. Secondly, as Mr. Bruder pointed out, that we have an ordinance on the books somewhere in regards to waiving residency requirements for certain positions. If we can't locate that by the next meeting, I think it'd be pertinent if we do have a new ordinance developed and adopted, just to address that and make sure we have it for the record. Other than, well, actually, I got another one. I spoke with code enforcement this weekend, and, you know, in light of some downtown revitalization, and some resident concerns, this month, code enforcement has been focusing on extra vehicles around town. There are some properties that have excessive amounts of vehicles sitting there that are inoperable, for sale. We don't have used car lots in Milltown, so we're focusing on enforcing the ordinances that we have on the book for that. And then now that we have grass growing and the springtime is here with trees blooming, next month we're going to be really starting to crack down on the grass cutting. So please stay on top of that before you become the nuisance guy for your neighbors. And that's it.
Thank you.
So do we have any, I thought we had some sort of drug test policy in the borough.
I believe it's contractual.
I think contractually, certainly with your police departments, typically you have that. I don't know about your DPW, but that's something.
CDL.
CDL.
CDL only.
I believe it's contractual. Everyone in the borough is supposed to have a CDL license. That's, if you're employed, you should apply for and earn your CDL license. And once you have that, you're subject to drug testing just under the CDL statute.
So what,
Also, the police department has state guidelines that they have to follow. That's random drug testing.
so it's in place already then?
In place, I don't know if.
It just hasn't been
Councilman
enforced.
Repalinski was looking to expand that.
No, let me clear some error here. The CDL is governed by state also
Yeah.
with municipal. We do random drug tests for CDL and police officers. That's state required, that's state law. We don't have anything in place for the general public of the municipal employees, and we could certainly look at that when we revise personnel policies and so forth. Not all employees have CDL licenses. Most of the public works people do, but I don't think any of the administrative people do.
No, I think Public Works, it was one of the hiring things, going back years ago, was that you had to go for your CDL at some point in time.
Correct.
Well, and, you know, one of the reasons I bring this up is mostly for the part-time employees. We have the pool that's operating over the summertime, where a lot of the help is seasonal, and things can sometimes slide under the radar or not get noticed. We also have our SAC program in recreation, where we're overseeing, you know, the children of this community. So I think it's important, and again, it's not in an effort to try and ridicule someone or to get someone fired. It's to make sure that if someone does have an addiction problem or an substance abuse problem, that we're able to afford them the help that they need, and maybe bring that problem to light for them instead of hiding in the shadows.
And we do have an employee assistance program where all employees, part-time or full-time, have access to, with confidentiality.
So is that a random test for the seasonal, or is that at the beginning of their employment that they're tested?
Well, I would propose that we do it at the beginning of employment. And if it's someone who is, say, a part-time or a seasonal employee, but they're here year-round, like you see with a lot of the SAC program, these people go season to season, but they stay within the borough. I think it's just important that we have that for them. So I would say once per calendar year, and at the beginning of your employment.
Do we have any idea how much that costs?
No,
Per person?
I wouldn't guess right at this point.
Just curious.
Is there any other new business?
Yes, Council President Dixon. On the May 13, 2019 meeting, we will be having Wellspring. They're located in East Brunswick. They'll be giving a talk. I figured it was a great idea with the youth and government on vaping and e-cigarettes. They will be here. They've done this for many municipalities, and I spoke with the mayor. He said go forth and schedule that for the agenda meeting. So that will be on here for next meeting.
Is there any other new business? Next, we'll move on to audience comments. The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the appropriate office during regular business hours or the member of council during their allotted office meeting hours. Please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium. With that, is there any audience comments? Seeing none, move on to council comments. Other than what we said already, does any council member have a comment?
So I do. I wanted to thank, and they left, but I wanted to thank the mayor and the council president for reading the proclamation on Mental Health Month, because I am the liaison to the Municipal Alliance, and we had several of the members who had to leave. I also noticed today that I saw online that our Assemblyman, Joe Danielson, posted that he was thrilled that his bill, 82031, was signed into law. This new law will expand health insurance coverage for behavioral health care services, enhance enforcement and oversight of mental health parity. Mental illness doesn't just impact the person who is struggling with the disease. It is in the best interest of society as well as the individual to ensure that these illnesses are covered and those that need treatment have access to it. So we were very timely in reading that proclamation when there is a new law to take care of the coverage for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other council comments?
I'd like to see our mayor back next time, Ron.
Oh,
Tongue in cheek, you did a great job.
I second that.
Seeing no other council comments, I'm going to move to Mr. Legati to do his favorite thing.
I move that the resolution to enter into executive session be approved by council, and the council will enter executive session immediately following the vacation of council chambers by the public.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. We'll take a 3 or 4 minute break. Give everybody a chance to clear out the chambers.